Footage opens with multiple Ukrainian armored vehicles advancing across open ground. Within moments, they come under drone attack. Explosions erupt one after another, quickly disabling several units and halting their movement. Despite their heavy plating, the armored columns prove vulnerable to precision strikes. Drones dive at high speed, targeting engines and turrets, leaving vehicles stranded on the battlefield. In one sequence, an entire group of armored personnel carriers is caught together. A series of drone hits forces crews to abandon their vehicles, highlighting how quickly mobility can be lost. Smoke rises from multiple directions as Ukrainian forces attempt to maneuver. Each strike emphasizes how even coordinated movements can be disrupted by small, low-cost FPV drones. Some vehicles are left burning, others remain motionless after impact. The footage captures the dramatic imbalance between expensive armored units and inexpensive aerial threats. These scenes highlight the growing dominance of drones on the battlefield. What was once considered secure firepower is now exposed to constant aerial surveillance and precision attacks. Footage shows a Ukrainian building struck by a drone attack. The explosion leaves the structure heavily damaged, sending debris and smoke into the air. Another Ukrainian armored vehicle is struck by a drone. The impact leaves the vehicle disabled, reinforcing how exposed armor has become on today's battlefield. Additional footage shows another Ukrainian building hit by a drone strike. The blast tears through the structure, leaving behind heavy damage and rising smoke. The sequence ends with a Russian drone striking a Ukrainian military boat. The precise hit cripples the vessel, highlighting how drones now extend their reach onto the water as well. Footage shows a Ukrainian armored vehicle launching missile strikes against Russian positions. The camera captures the moment as rockets are fired in rapid succession, hitting designated targets across the battlefield. Explosions erupt at multiple points, sending smoke and debris into the air. The sequence highlights how armored platforms continue to provide critical fire support, even under the growing threat of drone surveillance and counterattacks. Footage captures more Ukrainian buildings hit by drone and artillery fire. Explosions rip through their structures, leaving shattered walls and heavy smoke rising above the city. Another clip shows a warehouse targeted and destroyed. The strike reduces the facility to rubble, underscoring how logistical sites remain high-priority objectives in the conflict. Further footage reveals Ukrainian trenches under attack. Once secure defensive lines are hit directly from above, forcing soldiers to scatter and highlighting the vulnerability of ground positions. FPV drones are shown striking Ukrainian trenches with precision. Explosions erupt along the defensive lines, forcing soldiers to abandon cover. The footage highlights how positions once thought secure are now directly exposed to aerial threats on the modern battlefield. Footage shows Ukrainian warehouses targeted in drone strikes. Powerful blasts tear through the large structures, sending flames and smoke billowing into the sky. These strikes underline how storage facilities have become primary objectives. In several clips, supply depots collapse after repeated hits, leaving vital resources destroyed. The footage illustrates the strategic importance of crippling logistics, as attacks on depots disrupt frontline operations and resupply efforts. Footage shows parts of an airfield struck during drone and missile attacks. Explosions damage runways and surrounding facilities, with smoke rising from several points. The scene underscores how strategic infrastructure, including airports, remains a key target in the conflict. More footage shows Ukrainian buildings struck by drone attacks. Explosions rip through their structures, leaving heavy damage and smoke rising above urban areas. Clips capture strikes on Ukrainian military bases. Several facilities are hit in succession, underscoring the vulnerability of key installations to drone and missile attacks. A Ukrainian logistics vehicle is targeted and destroyed. The strike disrupts supply efforts, highlighting how drones are increasingly used to cripple resupply operations. Another Ukrainian armored vehicle is struck, leaving it disabled on the battlefield. The repeated losses demonstrate the mounting pressure on ground units. Further footage shows Ukrainian armored vehicles under constant attack. Successive drone strikes highlight the relentless nature of modern warfare and the growing threat from above. Footage shows Ukrainian troops clashing with Russian soldiers in close combat. During the exchange, a Ukrainian armored vehicle comes under FPV drone attack. The strike inflicts heavy damage, forcing the vehicle to retreat from the battlefield in a crippled state. Shortly after retreating, the same Ukrainian armored vehicle is struck again by an FPV drone. This time the attack proves fatal, with the vehicle completely destroyed. The sequence underscores how repeated strikes ensure damaged equipment cannot return to the fight. Footage begins with several Ukrainian armored vehicles moving across open ground. Within seconds, FPV drones lock onto their targets, diving at high speed. The first explosions disable vehicles, halting the column's advance. Despite heavy armor, the vehicles are quickly overwhelmed. Drone strikes hit turrets and engines with precision, leaving multiple units stranded. Soldiers are seen abandoning equipment as the attacks intensify. In one sequence, 3 armored vehicles are caught together. A series of drone impacts engulfs them in smoke and fire, illustrating the devastating efficiency of low-cost aerial weapons. Cameras capture the chaos as crews flee damaged vehicles. Burning wrecks line the battlefield, while further drones circle overhead searching for new targets. Each strike demonstrates the imbalance between expensive armored platforms and inexpensive FPV drones. What once symbolized battlefield dominance is now vulnerable to rapid destruction. Drone footage shows Ukrainian trenches struck by precise attacks. Explosions rip through the defensive line, forcing troops to abandon their positions. Moments later, soldiers can be seen retreating from the area under continued threat. Footage shows more strikes hitting Ukrainian buildings and storage depots. Explosions tear through the structures, leaving heavy damage and smoke rising. The scenes highlight how both urban areas and logistical facilities remain constant targets. Another sequence shows warehouses collapsing after direct hits. Supplies stored inside are destroyed, underscoring how logistics remain at the center of modern warfare. Residential buildings are also captured on camera as explosions rip through their walls. The footage illustrates the heavy toll on infrastructure, with smoke and debris filling the urban landscape. Footage captures Ukrainian troops coming under fire from long-barreled rifles. Precise shots are recorded as soldiers are struck while attempting to hold their positions. The scene highlights how sniper fire continues to play a significant role in frontline engagements. Footage shows Ukrainian armored vehicles once again struck by FPV drones. Explosions disable the units in quick succession, reinforcing the vulnerability of armor against persistent aerial attacks. Another clip captures a drone strike on Ukrainian soldiers inside trenches. The blast forces troops to scatter from their positions, illustrating how drones penetrate even fortified defenses. Footage from the forest shows a Ukrainian tank caught by a drone strike. The explosion disables the vehicle among the trees, leaving smoke rising through the dense terrain. In another sequence, a second tank is targeted in the same wooded area. The strike shatters its armor and forces the crew to abandon it, highlighting how even heavy vehicles are vulnerable in covered terrain.